Hello, everybody. My name is Jennifer, and we are starting something brand new for the 2022 Coastal Magic Convention. We are going to be doing some one-on-one, kind of quick conversations with some of our featured authors using a little bit of a structured format that we'll get into here shortly. Just some quick, fun things to get to know our authors a little bit better. We have with us today to start us off Violet Howe, who has been with Coastal Magic quite a few times and will be back for 2022. In case you are not familiar with Violet, Violet Howe writes romantic women's fiction and romantic mystery suspense. She lives in Central Florida with her knight in tarnished armor and their adorable but spoiled dogs. When she's not writing, Violet is usually watching movies, reading, or planning her next travel adventure. And speaking of travel, there's part of that that's going to be coming back in our conversation here shortly. We are taking a little bit of a lead from my book blog, and we're going to take the conversation in 5 parts. Features on my blog are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I had to do something a little bit different each day. And so we're going to take those and run through a full week's worth of features with each of the authors that are participating. So for today, Miss Violet and I are going to be talking about a few things. On Monday, we always do Words and Music Monday. Tuesdays are Top 10 Tuesdays. Wednesdays are WWW Wednesdays. Thursdays are for reviews, and Fridays are for author chats. So we're going to take those 5 topics. Sorry, I had an itch. And then take those 5 topics and turn it into a conversation. So for our Monday part of our conversation, Words and Music Monday, Miss Violet, do you either use music as inspiration for your writing? Do you use make playlists? Do your characters have theme songs? Do you just like music in general and it has nothing to do with writing? Do you not like music? How does music involve at all in your writing process, or does it?
All right. Well, hi, everyone. I am Violet, and thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. I absolutely love music. I pretty much have music playing at all times, no matter where I am and what I'm doing. And there are definitely times when I will hear a song and that song will remind me of a character or make me think about a character or think that character would like that song, or that song would be from that character's point of view. Right. So interestingly enough, I was out of town and my husband contacted me and let me know that he had bought concert tickets, and he said the name of the group and I didn't recognize it at all. And I was like, all right, whatever, because we go to a lot of concerts and I'm game. I'll go to a concert even if I don't know the music, but I didn't recognize the name of the group. And when I got home, there was a song playing. He had a song playing while we were making dinner one night. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this song. This song reminds me of a character. And I'm really thinking this is kind of like going to be like his theme song. And he's like, oh, that's who we're going to see Friday night. So it was kind of ironic that I had been listening to, thinking it was perfect for a character that I'm working on for an upcoming series. And then we just happened to be going to see that group. The name of the group is Manchester Orchestra, by the way. The name of the song is Angel of Death. And it was just really cool because I didn't know the name of the group. I had heard this song several times and really liked it, but I didn't know the name of the group. So it was very cool because then, that weekend I got to go and listen to them sing it live.
That's really cool. Were there any other songs that you thought might fit, or just that one?
Yeah, I actually, I have since downloaded that album and listened to it a lot. And there's actually a few songs on there that I think work really well in this particular series. So I'm trying to put together a playlist. I haven't done playlist in the past. I haven't been purposeful about doing that, but I think I am going to do a playlist for this series. And there will definitely be some Manchester Orchestra songs on that playlist.
Nice. That's really cool. And that's a fun way to discover a group too.
Yeah.
I'm a music junkie. I love music in general, and I love live concerts. But you rarely go to a concert not being familiar with the artist. Usually you buy tickets for people you like. So that's a really cool way to discover somebody new.
Yeah, it was great.
Talk about jumping in with both feet.
Yeah, there were people sitting behind us who had seen them multiple times and
Mhm.
were, really avid fans of theirs, and they couldn't believe that we were there the first time. But
Oh,
it was
fun.
great. It was a great show, and really, like I said, I've since downloaded their music and listened to it pretty much nonstop the past few weeks. So I really enjoy
Very
it.
cool. Very cool. Well, that's fun. I'm excited now. When we get done, I'll have to go check them out. See
Yes,
what's
definitely.
coming. Get a little bit of a feel for what's coming up.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
will
that's
be happy to, whenever you post this, I'll be happy to share the link for that particular song
okay.
in the comments so that everybody can listen and kind of
Excellent.
get a sneak preview of what this character is about.
Right. Well, we're going to do this when we release it. We'll release it as a video, but I also would like to try to turn it into a podcast. So if I can figure that out and make it work, then we'll put it in the show notes for the podcast as well.
That sounds great.
So people will be able to get to it. Okay, so that's our Monday. Now our Tuesday is Top 10 Tuesday, and that is a top 10 list of pretty much anything you want to share. So it can be about you, it can be about your books, it can be about something fun you did, it can be just random top 10 things that make you smile. So what do you think you would like to share your top 10 of something for us today?
I think I'm going to share my top 10 travel destinations that I have been to.
Nice. I like it. So what are we doing?
All right. I would have to say number one is it's hard to like pick number one or to rank them because I think you have different experiences when you're in a place and you have different memories there,
Right.
different times in your life. And so it's hard to like put them in ranking order. So I'm not going to say that this is like, best to worst or favorite to least favorite, but just in no particular order. Number one would be Australia.
Nice.
And it is definitely on my favorite list. There just was such a wide and diverse landscape there. Like we were able to go up into the rainforest. We were able to snorkel the Great Barrier
Very
Reef.
cool.
We were able to go in the Blue Mountains. On the southern coast of Australia, they have like these roads that follow cliffs that rival anything in California or Ireland. I mean, it was just
Wow.
amazing. And my favorite experience there, we went to a little tiny island called Phillip Island off the southern coast. And you go before sunset in the freezing cold and you get your little place and you sit. You have to sit very quietly and sit very still for about an hour and a half. And then right after the sunset, suddenly the hills around you just come to life. And there's all these tiny little birds making noises all in the grass behind you. And you have no idea that they were there or before that. And then suddenly you start seeing flashes in the water and all of these little tiny penguins. They're called fairy penguins. They're the smallest penguins on the planet. And they start coming up out of the water and coming onto the shore. And these are their babies that are all around us, like basically singing and crying because they know it's time for their moms to come back with dinner. And so you have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of penguins that are like coming on the shore past you. And you have to sit really still and really quiet. You're not allowed to interact with them, obviously. But it's one of the most magical things that I'd ever experienced. So that's definitely on the top of my list.
Pretty amazing.
My favorite city is Paris. I absolutely love Paris. That's my favorite city I've ever been to. I would go to Paris in a heartbeat. I actually went one time just for a weekend. I flew on Thursday and flew back on Sunday because I had a friend who was going to be in Paris and already had accommodations arranged and everything. So love Paris.
Cool.
Italy is probably the only place that I've traveled that I really want to go and live for a period of time. Like I love Paris, but I wouldn't want to live there. I just want to visit. But Italy, I absolutely loved Italy. The Amalfi Coast is just breathtaking, and Tuscany, just the people and the music and the food and the wine and the scenery, and just it's absolutely gorgeous. So Italy's definitely there. Scotland, loved the Isle of Skye, the city of Edinburgh. Just fascinating, just the history and how old everything is and everything's green. Costa Rica, which actually figures very heavily in my next release. I had my character takes a trip to Costa Rica, and there are quite a few experiences that she has there that were inspired by real life experiences.
Might feel a little familiar.
Yeah, some good, some bad. I told my husband, I'm like, when you read this book, there may be a few familiar scenes. So Alaska, I loved Alaska, absolutely beautiful landscape, as well as like a lot of wildlife. So I loved that. And then recently in September, I was able to travel to the Pacific Northwest of the US, like the Seattle area, and absolutely beautiful. I definitely want to go back. It rained a lot, as it does.
As it
But
does.
yeah, really, really beautiful, beautiful landscape. Would love to go back to that. The Caribbean is always a favorite. In particular, the Grand Cayman and a couple of islands that I've been to in the Bahamas are great. Destin, probably the most beautiful beach I've ever been to, Destin, Florida, which is the
Really?
Florida Panhandle. And I would say the white sands and crystal clear waters of Destin are the most beautiful beach I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I will round out my list with the Hudson River Valley in New York. My husband is from New York, about a half hour north of the city. And I really had no concept of what New York looked like before I married him. Like, I had been to New York City, I had been to Manhattan, but I hadn't been outside the city. And it's just beautiful, just mountains and hills and trees and rocks, and it's just that whole area is just really, really pretty. So
that's cool.
It's funny because I was just realizing that with the exception of Paris, I think every place that I chose because of the landscape and the scenery. So that must be what I really like.
That must be what gets you. Yeah.
There you go.
Very cool. So you didn't know I was going to ask this, but is there a place that that you haven't been that you want to go? Like, what's your top one
Lots of places.
If somebody dropped a plane in your front yard and said, "Here, go somewhere," where would you go?
Either Iceland or New Zealand. Iceland's a little bit closer, but I would say as far as just somebody dropped a plane and it's bucket list, New Zealand, definitely.
Yeah.
And if it was like, okay, you only have a weekend, plan something quick, Iceland, just because it's closer.
Gotcha. Very cool.
And again, both of those are scenery. So
right. That's fun. That's fun. Okay. Our WWW Wednesday, our World Wide Web Wednesday, is to showcase something that you saw online sometime recently that you just thought was really cool. Can be something bookish, can be something not bookish, but something that you thought was really interesting or really fun, or maybe you learned something. So what have you seen online recently that you thought was interesting and you want to share with us?
Well, I was doing research for an upcoming series, and I discovered, or learned, I guess you would say, that a person can have more than one sets of DNA in their body. And they think that it happens actually more commonly than we've ever known. There's a couple of well-known cases, and in one of them, a woman needed some type of organ transplant. And so her husband and her 3 adult sons had gone in to be tested to see if they would be good matches. And the hospital basically came back and told her that there was no way those were her children, even though she had given birth to them. And so what they discovered was actually that her uterus had a different DNA than the rest of her body.
Good.
And
yes.
The research that I found, because I kind of like went down a rabbit hole of trying to learn more about this. There seems to be quite a lot of pregnancies that start out as a multiple, but end up usually very, very early in the pregnancy. Only one ends up becoming a viable and moves forward. And so what happens is that sometimes that one that moves forward actually absorbs what was there from the other pregnancies. And so it's very possible that this woman, the rest of her body has her DNA, but her uterus would have been from her twin. So it has different DNA. And there was another case in California where same thing, but her ovaries were different DNA. So her children did not show up as being hers. And then one of the other cases, this lady had on her, on her torso, her skin changed color, going right down the center of her chest and then going around to her spine in the back. One side of her torso was a completely different color, completely different skin tone. And so it's something they always thought was like just a birthmark or a birth defect. And then at some point they were doing testing and they discovered that skin had a different DNA.
Wow.
So this was just fascinating to me that we could have a completely different DNA in our body, and all the ramifications for, like, they were saying that what they've discovered is the people that, I mean, you wouldn't know this unless you got that specific organ or that specific set of cells tested.
Right.
You wouldn't know. And they said that what they found is most of the people that they have discovered this in have a lot of immune issues. And they think it's because the body basically is always at war because of the,
it's like, what is this extra thing happening? Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I thought that was really fascinating. I thought that was very
cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, hopefully the woman who needed the whatever transplant and the kids were in a match, hopefully she managed to make that work. Now I'm concerned about her.
I think she did. I think she was able to make it work. And I also, just very quickly, another thing that I found in this same research thread, there was a woman in the UK who had a pregnancy, and then a month later, another egg was fertilized, and it was basically a completely separate pregnancy. And it's not supposed to happen. Your body is supposed to, once you're pregnant, your body's not supposed to like let that happen again. But hers did. And so she was carrying twins that were literally almost 4 full weeks apart in gestation.
Wow.
And so that was really fascinating too. When they were born, like, our bodies are fascinating, and just the number of things that can go, I don't want to say can go wrong, but that can like go outside of what we accept as the norm. And so, when her twins were born, the little boy looks ginormous. He's closer to a normal size birth weight. And then the little girl was 4 weeks behind him. So developmentally, she's so much smaller, but they're twins.
So were they born at the same time, or did she had them at the same time? Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
They ended up, like, the little girl was not necessarily ready, but like I don't remember like if there was a medical reason they had to induce or exactly what caused the pregnancy to come to fruition. But they were both born at the same time, but the little girl had a lot of complications because she was 4 weeks behind her. But she's fine now. I followed the lady on Instagram for a while, but then algorithms being what they were, I stopped seeing her post.
Yeah.
So
bodies are crazy, but they do some really cool stuff.
And as soon as I found that, I was like, okay, this has to go in a book. This has to go in a book. Cause I was like, oh my gosh, God, I can't imagine carrying 2 babies and not already being pregnant and then not knowing that you got pregnant again. Maybe the first time she went, the doctor's like, yep, 1 baby. And then the second time, oh, now it's 2. Like, so yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That's crazy. Okay. So Wednesday's done. Thursdays are review days. So what have you read recently that you would like to tell us about?
Well, I am just a little tiny bit obsessed with Jennifer L. Armentrout's From Blood and Ash series, just a tiny bit. And on the 18th of October, I think, she released it's almost like a prequel book or a prequel series that's a spinoff called A Shadow in the Ember. And so I had made a deal with myself and with my little reading team that reads that together, reading club. And until I finished the book I was writing and turned it into my editor, I could not start that book. And so I finally finished and turned it in, and I was able to devour it, and I absolutely loved it. So I would definitely recommend, if you like, fantasy elements, I would definitely recommend that. And then I'm getting ready to do a reread of the Outlander series because the next book in that series is coming out this month. So
nice. Now, when a new book comes out, do you usually reread all of the previous books, or is that specific series that you deal with?
I like to have everything fresh in my head. I like to have the details fresh, and I kind of like to get back in those characters' mindsets and kind of get back where I'm, where mentally I'm living with the characters. And so I like to go back and reread. I'll read fast. Like, there's times when I skim parts. Like, there's definitely, like, in the Outlander series, the book The Fiery Cross is just like hard for me to get through. And so there's a lot of that I'll just like flip pages and skim. But yeah, I like to read back through it.
Gotcha. Very cool. I imagine after a series gets to be really long, that's hard to do though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outlander's up there. Like, I should know if this is book 9 or this is book 9, I think, that's coming out, I think. So yeah.
I remember quite a few. I think the last time I paid attention to it, it's not a series that I've read. But I think the last time I noticed it, they were at like book 7. So, and that's
Right.
been a little while. So,
And I'll definitely, before the next season comes out on television of Discovery of Witches, I'll reread that one. So I like doing that too. Like if they make a television show out of a book series, then I like rereading the book series before I watch the show. So
yeah, I just got done rereading the Discovery of Witches series for Dragon Con because I did a couple of panels at Dragon Con on it. And then I finally read Times Convert, which I had not been reading.
And I have not read.
I wasn't feeling very inspired because as much as I like the characters that book was going to be focused on, it wasn't my Diana and Matthew, you know, and I was having a hard time getting myself motivated for it.
Heroine. Yeah.
But I found out at Dragon Con from people that have read it that they are very much involved in the book. So and so I was like, okay, so I'm gonna do it. And I came home from Dragon Con and I read it and I was so upset that I waited so long.
Oh, so I should read it.
You should absolutely read
it. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So I'll plan whenever I do the reread, because the television show is coming soon.
In January, yeah.
So when I do the reread for that, I'll read Marcus's. Well, not Marcus's book, but you know what I mean.
It's mostly Marcus's book, but they do definitely spend time catching everybody up on all of the goings on at the Diana and Matthew abode. So
all right.
Yeah. All right. Yes, you will enjoy it. We'll chat. We'll discuss.
Okay, good.
All right, and so we're wrapping up a week of features with Friday author chat. So really, that is wide open to whatever you want to talk about. So do you have anything new coming up? Do you have anything fun going on that you want to share? What would you like to chat about to wrap up our conversation?
I do have something new coming up. I have a Christmas romance coming out on November 27th, which is my birthday. Woohoo!
It is you were born.
I'm glad I was born too. Thank you. I'm one of these that I celebrate my birthday the whole month. So by the time it gets to the 27th, my husband and my son are like, yes, we know, we're aware it's your birthday. Okay, got it. So yeah, because I celebrate the whole month. But the name of the book is Christmas Peace, and it is book 9 in the Soul Sisters at Cedar Mountain Lodge series. Books 1 through 6 are already out. You can get them. And then 7 through 11 will be releasing in the next 2 weeks, starting on November 23rd. So my book in that series is Christmas Peace. The first book in that series, Christmas Sisters, is a free book that kind of introduces the character. And my character is Maddie. Maddie was a mom who, after facing just a horrible tragedy, decided that the way she was going to survive would be to turn her heart outwards. And so she took in 4 foster daughters for Christmas, the year that the tragedy hit her family. And so that first prologue book kind of introduces each of the characters, and I'm able to introduce readers to Maggie and kind of let them know what happened to her and why she's made this decision to open up her home to 4 daughters. And then my next book in the series was book 4, Christmas Hope. And in that, the family has come back together at a snow lodge in a ski resort, snow lodge in Idaho. And the youngest daughter is getting married. It's the first wedding in the family. And so Maddie is very excited to be spending that time with her girls and kind of see them through adulthood and have this great occasion for the wedding. And then just a few days before they arrive, the wedding gets called off by the groom. So there's a lot of drama going on. Of course, there's a lot of family love and family shenanigans, and there's a romance because I really like writing older heroines. I like writing heroines who have a little bit of experience of life under their belt and are kind of later in life finding love and finding romance. And I don't think that we stop feeling love or passion or
Mhm.
desire just because we get older.
Right.
So Maddie meets someone at the lodge, and it is definitely a romance. If you like sweet holiday romances with family warm fuzzies, then the Soul Sisters at Cedar Mountain Lodge is a great series for you. And the next book that I have coming out in that series on the 27th is Christmas Peace. And in this one, Maddie takes a romantic trip to Costa Rica the week before Christmas. And as I mentioned earlier, quite a few of the things that happened to her on the trip are inspired by some things that happened to my husband and I when we traveled to Costa
Mhm.
Rica. So it's a fun story. Again, it's a sweet holiday romance. And so it's a fun story and fun romance and those warm and fuzzy Christmas feelings that make us love Christmas stories. So
Very cool. That's
there you
really
go.
cool. Yeah, that's fun. Now, because it's your books are kind of tucked in between other people's books in the series, there are some people that absolutely 100% have to read from beginning to end, regardless. For people who don't mind picking, can they just read the ones that you wrote
Yeah.
and still get the full picture?
Yes, they
How
can.
does your stuff fit into the rest of the series?
They with the first 6 books, we actually wrote those books where we were all at the same place at the same time, and each book is from a different character's point of view.
Gotcha.
So my book is from Maddie's point of view of what happened that week of the wedding. And so if you read the other books, you do get like a more complete picture because you're getting everyone's point of view. And there may be things that other people knew that Maddie didn't know, or things other people
Right.
experienced that Maddie experience. But if you read just that book, just Christmas Hope, it's a full story in and of
Right.
itself, because you're getting Maddie's point of view, but you're also getting Maddie meeting her romance and going through that is that
Right.
story. So it can definitely be read as a standalone.
Gotcha.
That prologue book, like I said, I wrote Maddie's part. That prologue is in Christmas Hope. So if you were just going to read Christmas Hope, you would get that prologue piece and know why Maddie had decided to adopt these girls. But again, if you read Christmas Sisters, which is that prologue book, it has all the other characters' points of view. So they can
Gotcha.
definitely read it standalone. Christmas Peace, the new one that's coming out, has its own beginning, middle, and end. It is its own story, and it does not have to be read with any of the other new books that are coming out. For this round of books, each of us wrote that character has an independent standalone story.
Mhm.
But I would suggest reading Christmas Hope first, only because that kind of establishes who everyone is,
Right.
and you kind of know all the characters, and then their story carries through in Christmas Peace.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. So that's our 5 days of features all
That's a
in one
wrap. A
conversation.
week.
That's a wrap. I think that was fun.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that was fun. Okay, so we are going to finish up. You've already talked about your Christmas book that's coming up. Do you have anything else coming up between now and Coastal Magic? Anything else going to be coming out released?
I am crossing all my fingers and all my toes. I do have a release that I'm trying to get out for before Coastal Magic, and that will be the next book in the Cedar Creek Suspense series.
Gotcha.
And so it's a book that I had I had hoped to have it out last summer. I'd started it earlier in the year and had to kind of put it aside. And so I've picked that back up, and I am really hoping to have that finished and get it out so that is a new release for Coastal Magic.
Very cool. Very cool. Where would people be able to find you online? Your website, your social media? Where do people go if they want to find out more about you and your books?
All right. Well, my website is violethowe.com, and that has all of my books listed and all of my series. I am on Facebook, and I have a Facebook reader group that I absolutely adore called the Ultraviolets. And we basically talk about fun stuff and play games and talk about books, things like that.
Mhm.
And I have Instagram and Twitter and all the others, but Facebook is probably where I'm most active. Twitter, I'm more of a voyeur. I watch everybody else's stuff and read everybody else's stuff, but I don't really post there. So
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think that is going to do it for us. Nice, quick little chat.
yes,
Get to know Miss Violet Howe a little bit better. And then for all of you who are listening or watching the video, like we said at the beginning, we will have information, links. I'll have links to the books, links to the songs that we talked about, things like that. We'll have all of that in the comments and the show notes. If I can manage to turn this sucker into a podcast, um, we'll get it all sorted out and give you guys a chance to access those things and check out more of what Violet was sharing for us. And if you are not familiar with Coastal Magic, you can go to coastalmagicconvention.com and check out our event. You can check out all of the authors who will be joining Violet and all of the rest of our reader friends in Daytona in February. And information is on the website.
Yay!
In person, yes. Carefully in person.
Yes.
We will be taking precautions to make sure that everybody is safe and has a good time and does not regret making the trip to come hang out with us. Yeah, the author list is there, all kinds of information. We have a reading challenge that's really active. We've got a group on Facebook that's active. If you're not familiar, you can find all the information there. If you have questions, you can definitely reach me on Facebook or Twitter at the Coastal Magic Convention So that is what we are doing and where we are, Coastal Magic and Violet Howe. Thank you very much, Violet, for spending an afternoon chatting with me.
This was fun. Thanks.
And thank all of you who are watching and listening in the future from now. And we will hopefully see you at Coastal Magic in February. Everybody have a good rest of your day.
Bye.